Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to Inside the Booth,
Christmas edition.
Christmas edition.
You
That's
can't
right,
tell.
everybody. Get in that holiday spirit because it is now December.
Tis the season
'Tis the season.
to be
And
merry, jolly,
that's
bright,
right. That's right.
educated, warm, cold, frostbitten, grumpy, sad, whatever you want to be.
Exactly. It can be like the seven dwarves, happy, sneezing,
Pick your
grumpy.
dwarf of choice
Yeah, that's
for this holiday season. I like that. I think for this holiday season, I might be sleepy. I might just go
yeah.
with sleepy.
There
Yeah,
you go. Go with
there we
that.
go. My dwarf of choice. Not my elf
Well,
of choice, my dwarf of choice.
that's right. That's right. Well, we are talking today about Santa conquers the Martians.
Because we're doing a brief series this month of the worst Christmas movies ever made. And this definitely, right here, gotta
This
be up
has
there.
got to be it.
Okay. Has anybody ever seen this? Let us know. We want to know your thoughts. We're going to give you our thoughts, but I definitely want to know what your guys' thoughts are on if you've ever seen Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. I told Dan, why don't we do some episodes on the worst Christmas? We always talk about what our favorite Christmas movies are, right? Let's
Hmm.
let's talk about some of the worst made movies ever. And when I did my search, this came up and I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be good."
Yeah.
And I meant that in a
It,
bad way.
right. Right. So this is like one of the worst Christmas movies I've ever seen, but at the same time, it's one of those things that people call a cult classic. People follow
It's got
this,
a following
so it's like the worst, but it's
of
the best.
is
You
the
know,
best. Is
the
it the
best and
best of the
worst, and
worst?
people like it because of how bad it is, and that
Right.
seems to be like a thing these days. It's
It
bad, so
does.
it's good.
So it's good. So I mean, like with that being said, we're going to be doing a couple episodes of the worst Christmas movies. I hope you're going to be following us along in this journey and letting us know in the comment section as we do this what you guys would rate it. If you've seen this before, which movie as we go along do you at the end of it do you think is going to be the worst Christmas movie ever made? Um,
Hmm.
and if you're new around here, of course, be sure to like this video. And of course, if you enjoy it, and subscribe if you're new here, ring the bell so that you get notified of when our next worst Christmas movie ever made episode comes on. You won't want to miss it because we might be pulling out something that you have never heard before, or maybe you have, and maybe you're part of the cult. Maybe you like the Martians. We'll find out. So, also, if you're new here, we typically rate our movies. We go through a system. We've got our 5 categories. We talk about music, plot, acting, cinematography. We talk about the allegory. Where can we even find Jesus among the Martians? Is what we're going to find out tonight as we start off with the plot
Yeah.
of this movie. Dan, would you like to give that a go as far as what's the plot of Santa Conquers the Martians? Is it what people think it is?
Well, apparently, it's about these Martians who are stiff-boned, serious, don't have a happy thing in them at all, and these Martian kids watch Earthling TV. And so apparently they're watching this news channel about this guy that goes over to the what's it, the North Pole, and and talks to Santa Claus and his elves. And so these kids are like, we wish we had happy stuff too. And then the father puts him to sleep and then has to come up with a gathering of the minds to ask an old man what they should do about how all the
Yeah.
kids,
The
I
old
mean,
wise man sitting on a rock. Yeah.
yeah, that's 800 years old or something like that. And the old man is like, kind of falling asleep and talking at the same time. And then he's like, we need to bring happiness
Like he's
back
stoned or
with
something.
kids.
Yeah.
And he was like, so what should we do? And he's like, bring the Santa Claus here to Mars.
Right. Yeah, he's kind of had that Alan Rickman lag right there. Just kind of says one word
Yeah,
and then he continues.
and then, yeah, exactly. So they go and kidnap Santa Claus and these two kids that just got in the way, and then after a while they send them back to. At the end, they send them back to Earth. Apparently, they must
Yeah,
fly there or something. I
they
mean,
they kidnapped Santa and two kids from Earth. Yeah, and
you know,
all of a
to
sudden
make their kids happy.
to make their kids happy.
Yeah.
I mean that is the gist of the plot. There is also a very disgruntled Martian who basically doesn't like change, doesn't think that they
Oh
need
yeah, the
Santa
serious
Claus.
guy.
The
It's like,
serious
hey, we
guy.
need to be militant.
So not only did the Martian ruler Kimar, did his minions steal Santa from Earth, but then the other guy, I don't remember his name because they all sounded pretty similar. Like they all had the R's. I think it was Voldar. I could be wrong, but it could have been
Yeah, it was weird.
Voldar.
I didn't remember them
That
at
he
all.
kidnapped Santa after Santa had already been kidnapped. And they're basically we're doing the Grinch mess because he's like, if they don't have Santa, the toys won't be made, and then the Martians won't have toys, and we can go back to our normally scheduled programming, essentially.
Yeah.
So that being said, Dan, what'd you think of this plot for this movie?
Mm,
And what kind of point would you give it?
I guess I wouldn't give it a point.
The
This is a
dreaded
movie that I
no
would
point?
never watch in my life unless you or somebody else said, "Hey, check this movie out. It's really bad. Do a video on it." So that's why we're doing it now.
It's on the worst scale. It's a 0. So, yeah,
Well, like I said, there's a cult following for it.
right.
They
Well,
got
like you
T-shirts and
said,
everything.
people tend to enjoy the worst of things, hence the rings of power. But
Yeah.
anyway, sorry, that was so October. Or September or however long ago it's been. Nobody cares anymore. But the plot, I would say honestly, I'm gonna give it a 0 too. But at the same time, okay, hear me out. But at the same time, I kind of want to give it a point for creativity.
Very
Because
creative, I
who in
guess.
their right mind would think about Santa saving Mars and bringing
Um,
Christmas to Mars? But so I kind of think that the idea is cool, but I don't think that it was a really well-made movie. And for
I
that,
think the
I
person who
too will
wrote
give it
this
a
was
0.
high on drugs.
I mean, now honestly, I was thinking if they would bring this movie and I'm not really up for revisions and all this kind of knockoffs and whatnot and stuff like that. But since this movie's so awful, I would actually enjoy seeing if they would try to reboot this film, bring it into the 21st century, and with all of our technology, I would watch this movie again if it was recreated. To be honest, to see if they could take one of the worst movies
It has to be like an animation, though.
and bring it up to speed. I would
think
be
it has to be a
curious to see.
computer animated movie. That'd be cooler.
It'd be cooler. All
Yeah.
right.
I would watch it if it
So
was computer animation.
0-0 thus far. We're gonna rate and see which movie is the worst out of these 3. But so far, Santa ain't off to a good start. So acting. I think one of the best things about this film is the fact that when I look up all the actors here, we've got Leonard Hicks, John Call, Vincent Beck,
Yeah, Vincent Beck. Yeah.
and numerous other ones, right? And I think the best thing about this film is that,
These guys were popular back in the 60s,
well, they are, but at the same time, I have no clue who these people are. And I'm pretty familiar with old cinema. And I'm like,
Some
no,
old cinema.
does anybody know these people? And I think it's great that for all 3 of the top guys, the first movie that's listed that they're known for is this movie, Santa Conquers the Martians. What does that, I don't know. To me, it's like, what does that tell you about their acting career?
They must have been all right.
I will say that for some of the guys, for some of them, like, let's see, what's his name? Voldar, for example, the bad dude, Vincent
Yeah,
Beck.
Vincent Beck.
I would like to give Vincent here the point because he was dedicated to the cause. Okay, they're wearing the most ridiculous outfits. Even the little girl's like, "Are you a television set?" Because they've got, antennae and this weird thing on the side of their head, and they're silver or something.
Right.
I would give Vincent a point, but since we're doing acting across the board, no. No, this was only a couple of years. This is like 2 years before Star Trek came out. Come on now. Come on now. No. I appreciate the dedication. No.
Right. So Vincent Beck and Pia Zadora are really the only ones that have more than one movie under their belt. So
and what does that tell you? I'm okay with bringing know-nothing actors, if you will, and giving them a shot. I love that George Lucas did that, right?
Right.
But this ain't no George Lucas. This ain't no Star Wars, man.
No, it's not. And I would have to say Vincent Beck probably was, like you said, was the best one for it. But the other ones, it wasn't that good. You had Santa Claus who tried to overact, like laughing at everything, like he was high. I mean, I think whoever wrote this was,
it was the 60s, man.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll give it half a point.
Half a point.
Just because a couple of them were decent actors in there, but overall, it was just goofy and off the wall. So.
Well, sometimes it seemed almost like they missed their cue, and so they're just standing there staring at each other, and then all of a sudden it's like, "But gee, mister," it's like I needed somebody in the back to be like, "This is your part. This is," it kind of reminds me of that scene in Aladdin where he grabs Owl's face and he's like, "Genie, I wish you free." Like,
right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Beautiful.
So what's next on the agenda? Dan's cinematography, his favorite breakfast cereal. Cinematography. Go ahead, Dan. Take the lead.
Well, for the 60s, since we did watch Soylent Green as well back in the old days. When was that? I forgot. It was a while ago. Go back and find it, everybody. Soylent Green. This movie kind of reminded me of that. It had that kind of bad quality to it, and I don't know, it just wasn't that great. Sure, there were some parts that seemed like there was a little bit more colorful.
Oh, for sure. Purple was their friend, was it not? Like all of a sudden just kind of like, was it purple? No. What color was it when they were outside?
I don't know, it was just a weird color scheme. I don't know what happened.
It has no name. It's on Mars. We don't recognize it. We don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's probably called like Swoldorf or something. Yeah.
And it was funny when they would he would point at the door and then the door opens like he had some kind of force.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Mom had to knock. Did you catch that?
Yeah. Like she was knocking like, I don't want to disturb him.
She's like, kids, breakfast is ready. But the other doors open automatically.
Right, but the dad always opened it automatically. And he's like, come here, kids.
Maybe it's a sexist planet. It only responds to testosterone or the male figure or something like that. Authoritative voice. I don't know.
Yeah. So anyways, I don't give it a point. I didn't really enjoy it that much.
Ooh. Yeah, Dan is bigger into the cinematography than I am. This definitely looked like, what is that? We talked about this not too long ago. We were doing our favorite or the best Peter Pans and Captain Hooks.
Mm-hmm.
The one Peter Pan movie that was a play and Peter Pan was a woman. That's what this reminded me of. Like, this movie only had a $200,000 budget, which, of course, back in the 60s is a little bit bigger. Although when Star Wars was made in the 70s, it was like $1 million. So significantly different budget. But at the same time, I don't know. It just looks so much.
It was like a Doctor Who TV show, right?
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
that's been around for years. It just. they were inside a lot, and so I think
Yeah,
that kind of
the
throws
sets
me
were.
off.
Yeah,
The sets looked very indoors. Even for that brief moment when they were outdoors, it looked like they were still in a studio. And, again, props to people who tried their best, but I couldn't. It felt like a PBS special.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That's what this, like a cheap PBS special, or like, like basically if Santa conquered the Martians on Sesame Street. That would be the vibe that I got. So I
Yeah.
also will give it a 0 because I seen better. I seen better.
Yeah, you've seen better. All
Faux
right.
shizzle.
Next is the wonderful, not so wonderful
Okay.
music of this movie.
I give it no point. I don't even
Me
remember
either.
music in this.
Oh, there
I'm
was
just like,
music. It was horrible, and it sounded like noise to my ears. It wasn't
probably they
even.
were going for like that robotic,
Yeah, probably
new
like
age
that.
kind of
Mhm.
thing. That's obviously the music we'd all be listening to here in 2022 in the future, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we both equal on that 0-0.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And this movie has one last category to try to salvage its score thus far. The allegory. The
Mm.
allegory. Dan, did you get one?
I didn't pay that much attention to it because it wasn't that good to me. So, I mean, sure. What's it? Redemption for the Martians, and then they decide instead of keeping Santa Claus, they decide to let him go free. I don't know.
Right.
That's not really an allegory though. So
Right. It's more like just the plot.
yeah, basically,
Yeah.
it was weird.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll give mine and see if you pick up anything off of it. And if I leave any breadcrumbs, you pick them up, make yourself a pie with it. The allegory, I did like. Okay. So my allegory is that no matter what happened, Santa kept his cool and made the best of the situation possible and was looking out for other people. We all know that the holidays tend to be crazy, they tend to be chaotic. We tend to lose sight of the true meaning of Christmas. And while we're busy serving other people, sometimes we get irritated serving other people, right? So when Santa's kidnapped, it totally halts construction on the toys, throws a kink in the plans for Christmas and all this stuff, gets abducted by aliens, and that's traumatizing in and of itself. You don't know what kind of probing is going to go on up there. But when he gets into the cell and the little kids are there and they're scared, Santa just goes into full-on Santa mode, which he actually never really changed. He was
No,
just
that's
Santa Claus, right?
that's true.
And so even when people didn't like him, things were confusing, he just tried to make the kids comfortable. And so honestly, I will say that Santa wasn't too bad as far as being Santa. I don't think it was the best Santa I've ever seen for sure, but
No.
as far as the allegory goes, I like that Santa made the best of the situation and still managed to make Christmas feel like Christmas, even for people who didn't understand Christmas. So for that, I will actually give allegory a point.
Interesting.
Interesting.
It had nothing to do with Jesus, though.
Some of our allegories don't have anything to do with Jesus, but at the same time, it does have to do with Jesus because it regards the fruits of the Spirit in our own lives. Patience isn't on our terms. Actual joy and actual patience is when we abandon our own thought process and rely wholly on Jesus and the Holy Spirit to guide us, even through circumstances that are less than desirable. So that's kind of how I look at it. Santa was like,
Yeah. Okay. I got
Santa, yeah. Santa, I mean, they froze his wife. They froze the elves. Sorry.
They were like, yeah, it's gonna wear off.
And totally ruined Christmas plans for Santa Claus, the most important man that time of year. But you know what? He still looked out for those little kids, made sure they were safe, and helped other people discover Christmas. So, man, is it that boring, Dan? Gosh, I'm trying hard over here.
Bad. Sorry, sister.
So with my inspirational message right there, could you grasp anything for yourself?
No, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I didn't come up with one, but I like what
Okay.
you said, so I'll give it a point for that.
You can't piggyback off of and steal my point. That's not how that works.
I'm not stealing your point. I'm just saying your allegory was so good, it deserves an extra point.
All right, we'll do it. We'll do it. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. All right. So, with that being said, it kind of throws a wrench into the whole scoring system that I didn't necessarily anticipate, or maybe I did. So, while Dan does the stuff, because if you're new here, at the end of the show or near the end of the show, I tally up the points and reveal to you what we think here on Inside the Booth this movie is rated. So, Dan, tell him the stuff while I.
And I'll tell you all this stuff. Go over to www.insidetheboothtv.com/shop. Get yourself some merchandise, kind of like this. What do we do here? Well, this guy will tell you.
What is this place? What is it that you do here? Merchandising. Merchandising, merchandising, where the real money from the movie is made.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And that is it is a beautiful thing. Don't forget to vanquish the like button, subscribe to the channel, and
Want to ring the bell? All right. Ding, ding.
And always, of course,
Never give up. Never surrender.
no matter how crazy the holidays get.
that's it.
That's
it.
Santa Claus right there, Tim Allen. No wonder they made him Santa Claus. With that attitude, never surrender, never give up.
Never surrender. And don't forget, everybody, if you like what we do here, you can support us not only just by subscribing and liking and sharing, but also buying some merchandise. And also, we have a Patreon. You can join our Patreon page, $1 a month to support us, or $5 or $10, or that
$1,000.
awesome $1,000 a month subscription.
Where Dan will come and do your laundry.
That's right. And
That's
and you know, that helps us to keep doing what we do here at Inside the Booth, and you guys can be a part of it. So thank you.
Right. So Dan, beautiful speech.
Thank you.
So out of 10 possible points that this movie could have gotten, what do you think this movie got?
2.5.
And you would be right. Ding, 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 ding. You did it. This
I
movie.
win. What do I win?
You win
More subscribers, hopefully.
More subscribers. That's what you get. Likes and subscriptions. Subscribes. 2.5 points out of 10. So that is the standard right there. That's the bar. And we have to measure all these other movies to determine what is the worst Christmas movie out there. And so be sure to, again, to subscribe, ring the notification bell. Stay tuned because we have more to come this holiday season. The worst. You know, if you wanted to know what that was, stick around because it's coming.
That's it. Love it. So that's it for tonight, guys. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching, talking amongst yourselves in the comment section, and thanks for leaving comments.
That's right. Tell us your worst Christmas movie here. Here we go.
That's it. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good hope Christmas coming soon.
And don't let the Martians get you.
Don't
Watch
let
out.
those Martians
Get your tinfoil out.
grab you, and
Careful.
don't let the Martians grab Santa Claus.
That's right.
Keep an eye out. They're gonna grab him. Anyways, all right. Goodbye.